classmates. My name's Paul Hood again. I decided to do my case study this week on the Great Chilean Quake of 1960. Um, I kind of chose this one because I haven't really heard of it, as well as since it's kind of a um, disaster impacts another part of the world, I thought it might be kind of cool to kind of review it, look at it, and maybe take a look at it from a different angle. So the earthquake occurred on May 22nd, 1960. It's actually a 9.5 magnitude earthquake, and it's considered the largest ever recorded since they started tracking it. So the first stage talks about the earthquake hitting at about 17:11 hours. So kind of the first steps you want to take for the stage one would be to notify the government and notify the states along the Pacific coast, just because of the potential tsunami as well as potential secondary earthquakes and whatnot. And with that, those states and areas need to take inventory of resources that they have available, prep resources, as well as maybe position some resources ahead of time for places that they know are typically going to need it, especially type of resources that are going to be used in relief efforts: food, water, medical supplies, alert, first responders, search and rescue teams, those kind of deals. Um, then for stage two of the case study, it talks about that Hawaii and several other coastal states report of some tsunami activities. So this is kind of where you want to maybe look at how you're going to maybe move those resources. Now that, especially if it's Hawaii, last I checked, there's no road that goes to Hawaii, so it's either got to go in by plane or by boat. So you got to decide upon cargo planes, where you're going to get them, how many do you have, where can you acquire them, as well as if you're going to fly to Hawaii, you're going to fly in resources. Do they still have airports? Do they still have landing strips? Are those landing strips capable of landing, certain type of cargo aircraft? Those are things to be considered, as well as, you might want to reach out to the Navy, to the Coast Guard, those kind of resources. The Navy brings abundance of ships that can bring a whole bunch of supplies, as well as they've got hospital ships, as well as they've got the Seabees that can make airfields if you need to get some stuff landed in awfully quickly. Those are just some things to consider for that. The other big part is just kind of keep communication flowing. Make sure that states that still need the resources are still needing resources, and states that don't need the resources, maybe we can move those resources somewhere else, as well as, if some states might need new resources. Just kind of keep that going, as well as kind of what's been damaged, what's been hit. Obviously, if you get hit by a 9.5 magnitude earthquake and tsunamis follow, you're probably going to have some of your infrastructure might be destroyed. So make sure you have a backup means of communicating. In stage three of it, we learned that Hawaii was actually the hardest hit state. So obviously they're going to need resources. Like I said, this is where the Navy is going to have to probably come into play, as well as if you still have the communications, maybe the airport's still available. Now you can fly in resources, but there's no communication and the airport's destroyed. Then they're going to have to ship in the resources, and so you got to plan for how long that's going to take to get them help and get them resources, as well as if you're on an island, you have to evacuate. Where do you go? It's not like here on the East Coast, or we just kind of go more inland, or we tend to go north. If you're on an island, there's only so many places you can go. So I guess it's more towards the middle of the island, or maybe more towards the higher elevations of the island. So some of the resources they're going to need obviously is water, food, medical supplies, search and rescue teams for if any of the infrastructure, any of the buildings collapse, to help find and recover people. This is also where you can looking into some of your nonprofit agencies like Red Cross for shelters, Red Cross for assistance, that kind of stuff. When I looked, I also found some other information about the earthquake, that some of the effects were felt as far away as Japan, Alaska, and New Zealand. So if you think about the Pacific Ocean, the earthquake actually happens in Chile. People in Japan are getting a tsunami. So, I mean, these earthquakes move a terrible amount of energy. Actually, the tsunami that hit Japan was recorded about some instances of going over 200 miles an hour through the Pacific Ocean, and actually hit Japan about 22 hours after the initial earthquake hit Chile. or the 9.5 magnitude earthquake hit Chile. Over 5,700 people were killed between the earthquake and the tsunamis. That kind of goes everywhere between Chile to Australia, New Zealand, through Japan. All those people are included in that 5,700. It also caused an eruption in one of the volcanoes in Chile to erupt about 2 days later. So that's something to think about. As well as they said that the death toll would have been extremely higher had it not been for the fact that the 9.5 magnitude earthquake was preceded by 4 7.0 earthquakes. So they actually had pre-earthquakes before the major one. So that caused people to actually exit buildings and go to the streets and stuff like that. So therefore, there's less people that would be killed or had to be searched for in rubble. But I think the importance of this kind of shows about the importance of building codes. If we had a 9.5 magnitude earthquake that maybe hits the West Coast in San Francisco versus Chile, maybe we have a lower death toll, even though it's a more populated area because of our building codes are a little bit stricter. Our buildings are a little bit better built. You go to third world countries and, you might have building codes that haven't been changed or updated since Lord only knows when. So, there's these type of things to consider. So hope you guys enjoyed my review of the case study. Like I said, I really wanted to look at it because it's a earthquake that, impacted Chile, but really it impacted, everywhere from to South America over to US, Japan, Australia, New Zealand. So this one kind of hits a lot of countries, and this is kind of where your resources need to be considered of talking into other states, other countries. So